Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 173. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
Hello, folks. Let's do a podcast.
What's Real Talk, you say? Well, it's an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between. Somewhere in the description of this video, you will find a link, or you may not be able to click it, but you can type it. www.theremnant.live/real-talk. The real in that is REAL. Click it, follow the instructions, go down. Click submit a question. You can put an anonymous question, a link, whatever you want. Maybe you want to ask, but you've been too embarrassed to ask your pastor. Maybe it's uncomfortable. It's one of those sort of risque questions, but you want a Christian response to it. This is your chance to do that. It goes into our database completely anonymously. We've answered over, I think, 2,000 questions over the years. Man. And yeah, that's it. We try to give you our take on things as just a few young Christian guys loving Jesus, loving life, trying to figure it all out.
It's a mystery.
And the other thing to let you know is Real Talk is not your average podcast.
Let's talk about it.
I forgot what you said too, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, and then
Taco and Jesus is always the answer.
it's perfect. So we want to give a big shout out to one of our biggest supporters. I love her a lot. She gives us comments that you never respond to because that's who you are as a person. And I'm going to throw them under the bus every day because this goes on to my reputation too. It takes 40 seconds. We tell people that we care. Fun Turn can do this too.
It's true. Kelsey, we love you.
Not enough to respond to you, but we love you. But all after burning AJ for a long time and making everybody go, why did he hurt AJ's feelings? I'll get back to the original show. So Kelsey made us these shirts.
She did, man.
And reminded us, which is why she's an awesome fan and super fan and supporter, that we did talk about a Taco Type Tuesday when we were talking about the different names for taco places. Mm-hmm. And we realized that every one of their names is a real place.
It's true, man.
So what we've decided to do in honor of Kelsey, these amazing shirts. P.S., and I'm not exaggerating when I say this before I go on. Quick addendum. This is the best fitting shirt ever. I told you guys before I put it on, and this is a true story. I said, I'm probably going to shrink this. Most of the time, I'm a big guy, but people think I'm bigger than I am. I'm weird. Mm-hmm. I put it on, and I literally looked at the guys and said, this is the shirt. There's never been a shirt that's fit me better.
It fits great.
So, kudos, Kelsey. Kudos, Kelsey. So anyway, yeah, man, pretty awesome. These shirts are like real high quality, too. Oh, so yeah. You will see these shirts again because we are going to be rating tacos in the next few episodes. We found out recently that there is a taco truck. Did you know this? Were you in here?
Huh, no,
oh, there's a taco truck now here in the local town of Columbia City. And in Columbia City, Indiana, there's a taco truck over there by Walmart.
Interesting.
If it was the name of it. The giant box store, right?
Wilkins store.
There you go. In that, and this is the thing, they're apparently open from like 3 till 11, till close.
It's crazy,
and they have burritos, so we're clearly going to try that.
Oh, 100%.
We'll throw in the Taco Hut, as we call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun Turn's place of work. Mm-hmm. Then we will get from the other Mexican restaurants in town, and then anybody that wants to from our church, perhaps, and we will rate the best tacos in town.
Nice.
And we will do it anonymously, so we don't know where the tacos are from when we take a bite.
That's really cool.
Is there going to be a rating of accuracy of order?
We already know who'd lose that. So
my store may be in trouble.
Yes.
Roasted.
However, with that too, there's other big announcement coming soon. Coming now, I'll just tell you, is Real Talk Live is returning. Now, I've told you that before. Told you that before. I'm not gonna say it again because everybody's gonna say, Todd, he's mean to AJ. I feel like you could literally punch my face. And people would say, Todd, why did you put your face in front of AJ's fist? You might hurt it. It's so weird.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's only AJ. It's not even me.
Oh, I know. You're right. And I don't know why. It's because he has this smile that it's like a shark, though. People don't understand it. So anyway, Real Talk Live's coming back. It should be this Thursday, actually, which would be the 21st. July 21st.
July 21st.
I believe at 8:30 p.m.
8:30.
Eastern Standard Time.
Be there.
In case you're over there in, one of the other states, Eastern Standard Time. You
EST,
can get on
baby.
Facebook and YouTube. We'll probably put out some details. And, yeah, join the fun.
It's going to be fun, man.
Maybe that's when we should do the taco stuff. Makes sense
It's
for
a
the
good
first
idea.
episode.
Yeah.
Wear these.
You can talk to the
Yeah, I just said that.
Mm-hmm.
talk to the taco truck. I'm still shocked they're open from 3 to 11 o'clock at night.
Hey,
Yeah, I
for
guess-
us, that works great.
Oh, it's
I know
great
it
timing
does.
for
It's
us.
fantastic.
You know that old taco hut could be in trouble once people figure this out.
Please go there. I don't want your customership.
Don't say that. Taco Hut's going to be mad at you. You mean
They're
you love
already
Taco
mad.
Hut.
I love Taco Hut. It's a fantastic
I
place
tried.
to work.
I tried to save him. You heard me.
It's too late.
Anyway, we'll let you
I'll
know
bleep
some
it.
exciting stuff. I know what people are thinking. We're not gonna actually do live.
We're
And
gonna
listen,
do live.
I don't blame you because I don't necessarily believe it. But
But, you know,
but
I won't believe it till I'm sitting in the chair.
yeah, so Kelsey, thank you so much for real. Not just for the shirts, though they are awesome and unexpected, but thank you
Yeah.
so much for your support. We love it. I do see all your comments, and I don't have all the sign-in stuff. I'm just being real, like the guys do, or at least access, and it's probably, I don't know why. And even the 1Password website we have, I can't get into it. I never told them to do that. So I can't comment, but I do see them, and I just really appreciate the fact that your comments are genuine and real and like interactive, and she's very encouraging. So thank you, truly. We love you. We appreciate you, and you mean a lot to us, genuinely. Arnold, don't kill us for saying that.
Hey, he works at the.
Nope, don't say it. Things about people's lives.
That's
Yeah,
fair, man.
exactly.
Good call. Yeah, he works.
But I will tell them what your
He
social
works.
security number is.
Yes, it is.
I also am supposed to hype the fundraiser, which I assume is your hair thing.
Yes,
yeah, the thing
we are.
that's gone into the night, the
Yes.
long, dark night.
I
and
hate
the
this
sea.
fundraiser.
Dude, this is like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm nervous. It's an extreme fundraiser. Like, so for those of you that voted or gave some opinions on how you wanted me to do my hair and stuff. So we've kind of come up with like a different system because my original idea was to do like a bidding thing, but had a discussion about it, and what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to kind of set up like a system. It'd be like a GoFundMe sort of
We're
thing.
going to set up the GoFundMe system.
And you reach different tiers, and each tier you reach is a different thing I do. So it's going to be like changing. Like it's going to be multiple things, and it's terrifying.
It'll change as long as you donate. More information coming soon.
So it's going to be wild and scary.
I need you to tell me how wild
We
it's going.
officially have everything that's like all the different levels that you guys will get. So we have all those, and we'll be releasing that hopefully here soon. But we'll be getting that GoFundMe together, and we'll have probably a very special post to put it
Dude,
out,
it's
things like that.
terrifying.
And we're aiming to raise money to improve this show for all you guys.
Bingo, bango, bungo.
That's the tiers.
Oh yeah, it's intense. It's been organized now. We're slowly moving towards it.
Came up with this.
I think it was Emma.
Dude, the last. It'll be interesting. See what happens.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Yeah, whatever,
did this
bro.
to yourself.
What are you talking about? You looked like a literal mountain man last year, 2 years ago, whatever. Anyway, that'll be fun. Supposed to hype that up. So, hey, I don't know. Pay attention. I don't, you guys have any? I guess we're supposed to move on from this handy dandy show notes here on episode 173. I'm supposed to say catch up on our lives. So, yeah. By the way, it's flaming hot in here.
Oh yeah,
I just laughed.
Flaming hot.
Yeah, I just laughed and like I had a heat wave come over my body.
I'm literally sweating. Which I know what you're thinking.
like
Todd, is that normal? It's not abnormal for you. Well,
No,
guess
no,
what?
It is very hot.
It is warm. So, any news in your life that you want to talk about?
Let's see. Well, the fundraiser is going to definitely be interesting. So that was already brought up. I would say, man, like I was reading John earlier, and I just read a bunch of it, and I was thinking about how the Pharisees, like how they would talk to Jesus, and it's so like when I think about the call of being a Christian and how we're supposed to be like Christ, man, it's just so radical, and it's so like I don't know, man. It's such a, I guess to try to like sum it up for me, it is just like when I actually think about how I'm like truly supposed to follow Christ, man, like it is just wow. It leaves me speechless sometimes. Like I don't even know how to put it into words. So it's like when I know I'm supposed to be like, this is the perfect, this is him, man. This is Christ. And it's like, dude, how am I supposed to do this? like, because I'm such a scared human being, like very fearful, man. And so it's like, I know Jesus had like moments of like fear too, and like he was scared at times, or like overwhelmed. And it's like, dude, I think I guess to try to keep it short. Sorry, I don't know if this makes any sense, but like, I think that I struggle with always feeling like the Holy Spirit's going to be able to fully help me, like I struggle with like to believe fully that like, in the midst of my fear when it comes, the next time it comes, even from now, like am I going to be able to like get through it? Am I going to do the right thing? So I don't know, man, kind of random, but like, that's just, I was reading earlier and just really made me think about like how like that call, man, how radical it is to be like Jesus. So it's like, oh man, it's heavy sometimes. So that'd be like the latest thing I have. But yeah, I don't know if it makes any sense or not, but
I mean, I think, yeah, it makes sense. Radical call.
yeah, man, it's wild, dude. So that's really the latest thing for me.
Pondering.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what to ask you about that other than
Dude, it was just like one of those things where I was like, man, because I guess to elaborate maybe a little bit, sorry, because I know I can tend to accidentally be like broad, so like it makes me think about like my emotions and how like I tend to suppress them a lot, or like or maybe not suppress them, but like I just don't think about them, and so like that often can lead me to like subconsciously maybe like, I don't know, maybe like I treat people differently, or I avoid people, or whatever it is, and or even the good stuff, or I don't tell people the good, and it's like I know that the call to be like Christ, that's not included in that. Like that's the opposite, and so it's like, man. So I guess for me, it's that feeling of like, how do I just always do that? Because the call is to always be like that, and it's like, man, that's overwhelming. So I guess I hope that helps a little bit, but
yeah. Yeah, man, it's interesting. I don't know. I feel like if I talk about it, it'll just be things I've rambled on before because I'm a weirdo that thinks about that all the time. And
Yeah,
I bring it up
dude.
every other week. And it almost irritates me at times. And people are like, what? Because with us as humans, like we either, we don't believe it or we do. Like, and if we do, I don't know. I think a lot of people are stuck. I guess I shouldn't say. I wonder if sometimes people, I'm not saying you, but I do wonder, and I've thought this for myself, if sometimes the reason people aren't following it isn't because maybe we're not, maybe we just know of him and don't know him. And sometimes, I don't know the answer. Or that we're certainly, we're not beating our body into submission, as Paul says.
dude, and that is, you're right.
And that just means for non-Christians, it's just a verse that's implying like we control what we do. And we don't feel like it sometimes because sin can be so tempting, right? And I'm not just talking, clearly the first one that comes up is sexual sin for people, but whether it's anger or it's pride or, it's still tempting.
Yes, and like it's very easy to like fall into that, or like your mind just like sometimes you don't even recognize it because you're just so used to it. So like for me, like my journey as a Christian, like I tend to forget that like, I've had 20 or so years of just that's how life was, and so I tend to not think about that stuff, and it's just subconsciously you just kind of like, oh, that's just what I do, and you're like, no, that's not right. Like I follow Jesus, and following Jesus does not include doing the things I do or thinking the way I think, and it's like, man, so.
Yeah, I think sometimes I feel like we've become a joke though because we say this all the time, and it's like, why do we say the same things all the time and nothing changes ever? And if I was watching the show, it almost can be hopeless. Because all we talk about is the same thing of like, and I'm not mocking you here.
Yeah.
We're pondering it, but what comes of that?
It's good.
I even feel that way on the show. Like, when do we talk about victories? When do we talk about the fact that we can overcome those things? Why is it always talking about that, hey, we just keep doing the wrong thing?
That's good, man, because it's either, to me, that brings me to two places. It's either I don't recognize when I have victories because like that's like, like self-hatred.
That's not what I even mean. I'm not talking about like, because the reason you're not talking about victories is you're not having them. It's not because you're not thinking them, right? Or at least you're not having as much to overcome this self-hatred or whatever. I don't know, man.
No, that's really good.
I don't know the answer anymore. I can't for you. I mean, clearly, for me, it's just as simple as being disciplined and doing what he told me to do. And it's not really that much of a mystery. To me, it's not. For some reason, when it comes to my own behavior, I choose it. I know that. It's my fault. Sin is my fault. I chose that. I chose to follow him, or to not follow him in that moment, and it's not really that big of a mystery. I just don't do what he tells me to do at times. And I think a lot of times, I'm genuinely not seeing you. I think some people just don't want to face that. It's not this, like, we just don't do what he what he tells us to do. And if you don't do what he tells you to do, I mean, we say facts, but that's what I'm saying, man. Sometimes I feel like we're just in danger of becoming this Christianese thing we talk about. It's the same stuff every week. We talk about the same stuff, the same struggle, and nothing comes of it. So what does it mean that that's a fact? Why doesn't that change in your life? Why doesn't that change in my life? What are we telling the people that watch this show? That Christianity is just this miserable journey, of misery that has zero, like, I don't know. You just trudge on. I think of a friend of mine, and he, he gets made fun of all the time, but maybe he's the most honest one. He said, yeah, life sucks, and I die, I'll finally get my reward, and I'll go to heaven. That's, everybody's like, yeah, I can't believe you're that negative. I'm like, he's just saying what a lot of people think. Because isn't that what we're thinking when we're like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm a piece of garbage. Now, again, I'm not mocking you because I know you're being genuine, right? And even me, like, I talk about it a lot too. When it comes to the area of sin, it sucks to admit. Now, I can say this. I don't know why I do what I don't want to do sometimes. Like, it's so funny how powerful it is. But yet the Bible tells me that when I don't practice the things God has told me to do, when I'm not abiding in him, when I don't pray, when I don't go to church, let's say, when I don't worship, when I don't read his word every day, like food, and then it's like, oh, so odd. When I'm not close to the vine, I'm not acting like Jesus. Weird. I wonder why that's happening. I wonder why I'm not naturally wanting to follow him. I wonder why I'm naturally following my flesh more. And this is me. I mean this genuinely. I'm not being passive aggressive. Like, I think of myself. Well, for me, it's pretty easy. Now I can sit here and go, gosh, man, why do I do things? Like, because it does sometimes feel like you're a different person. When you almost willfully give in to things at times. And what I say by that is, like, the conviction comes immediately, right? Or, like, I don't know, without being too much. Let's say I come into a room and I'm really mad. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in there and I'm not gonna lash out, or I'm not gonna be, I'm gonna speak truth in love. But then I get in there and I don't. The Holy Spirit literally was trying to prick me and lead me and prepare me to do it. So what happened because this has happened before, what happened between the moment when I thought that to the moment I didn't do it? Okay, I'll tell you, a lot of times I didn't stop and pray. I didn't beat my body in submission, because I think a lot of times we just go by what we feel. Well, if God wants me to be loving, he'll make me feel loving. And that's not true.
That's not true, yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's like, sometimes I always think about people that listen to the show, and I'm like, I feel like we just tell them the same things with no answers over and over and over again. Which, that's cool that we're being real about having real talk and talking about these things, but, like, what in the world, man? How are we 4 years into this and still, not necessarily that we're feeling this stuff, but, like, do you not have any answer? After I'm like you. Like, what's your answer with that? Because you didn't really have an answer. You just said, this is hard. I don't do it. What's the answer? And again, for all those AJ lovers out there, his fan base, I'm not attacking AJ.
Yeah,
he knows this. We have these kinds of talks without the camera on.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, last night, I'm going to bring it up, he kind of was the one talking to me and kind of pushing into me. So it goes both ways.
Absolutely. I guess, man, the answer is, like,
it's okay if you don't know even, but we've got to figure that out.
I
By
guess,
we, I mean in your own life, right? We can give the Christian answer. So, like, the Christian answer is one I just gave. I can generally say we're not doing what God told us to do, right? But what thing am I not doing, Todd? Does that make sense? Like, what am I doing to either feed my flesh or not feed my, the spirit that's within me, for lack of a better terminology?
That helps, because, like, one thing, like,
I'm not
as
telling
soon
you
as
that you need to confess that to everyone necessarily, but I think if I'm having a talk with you as my friend, I think that's
Yeah.
something that's going to help you. Is like being honest with yourself about what you're not doing. You know, and again, that can turn into we got to earn our stuff, and it's like, no, we're not talking about blessings right now. We're
Yeah.
talking about obedience, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're implying.
Absolutely. Like, and I'm willing to share, like, for sure. Like, as
I'm
soon
not
as
telling you to, for real.
as soon as you said that, what came to my mind was like, I don't pray when I should, like in those moments, like you said, like if I'm in the midst of a battle, or if I'm in the midst of, you know, kind of like what you, like your previous example, like, you know, if I'm going into something, it doesn't matter what it is, like, you know, am I actually doing what God tells me to do? You know, prayer is a big thing, dude, and like you're right, like that's a main thing I need to work on is like, I don't.
But when you say work on, go ahead, sorry. Like even that terminology, work on. What is prayer to you?
Prayer to me is
Is it
just
just
talking
the thing
to
you're
God.
supposed? Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to say, right? So let me put it in a different term. If that's
Okay.
what you really think is it's talking to God, why don't you want to talk to God?
I think it's
Makes sense?
yeah.
Because the way you said it at first was, oh, it's something I got to do better. So think about it this way. Like, I'm your friend, right? And I'm like, I've got to talk to you more. Like, I got to talk to you better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what does that really mean? Does that mean I got to talk to you more? Does that mean, like, why don't I talk to you? Like, I don't know
that's
the
good.
answer. Just things I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because you're helping me process, too.
I would say when I say that, it's more because you're right. That's more of a knee jerk thing. So it's
Well, I'm not saying you're being fake. I think if we're talking to people out there, you know, something even we've gotten away from on the show is really talking the way we actually talk, or at least used to. You know, if you're gonna have real talk, it shouldn't just be like blah, 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 like we should go into that. So I don't want you to think I'm thinking you're intentionally being like surfacey. I'm just asking questions to my friend.
yeah, man. I think it boils down to like I don't always believe that what I pray for he's going to answer. I don't fully believe that that's going to overcome how I feel. You know.
Yeah, well then it certainly won't, because that's a part of the faith. But the other side of it is that and this is a genuine question. Is
Yeah.
the only time you talk to him when you need stuff?
I would say it's more often than not, yeah, because like it's rare for me when I just like say, "Hey God, thank you for this."
Yeah, well, there's no reason to think about why. And I don't know the answer for you, right? Like, I can know the answer for me. Like, for me, when I struggle in prayer, and prayer is one of the things, typically, if I'm honest, that I trash myself in this show, too. That's an area that I'm typically pretty strong in, though, as of late. And for me, like, I don't know, man. I talk to him, like, that verse that says, pray without ceasing. That's kind of, I'm just going through my day talking to him.
And that, man, yeah, I'm not.
Now, I was going to say my struggle. I completely forgot what I was saying. So for me, when I do struggle, that was the point of saying I'm good at it, is that when I do struggle, it's because, and I don't want to insult anyone in my life, but like I grew up in a very fear-based situation, right? I was supposed to, not only would I get punished for doing the wrong thing, but I would get punished for not doing the right thing by not being able to guess what the right thing was in that moment. Does that make sense? So, hey, I'm making this up, but it gives you a good example. Say I'm supposed to clean the house, and I don't know where to put this thing. So I just guess, and it was wrong, and I get punished. So a lot of times with God, I'll find myself subconsciously like avoiding Him if I'm struggling in prayer that moment, because I'm afraid He's mad at me and going to punish me. Like, right? And I can't stop Him anyway, but that's the fear. Like He's disappointed in me, He's mad at me, and I'm just waiting for the belt to fall, or whatever.
Yeah.
Symbolism here. So for me, what's yours? I don't think yours is fear.
No, it's actually kind of the opposite. Like I think that it's more spoiled. Like,
now, are you saying that because you know about your family, or are you saying that because you actually feel like when you think about God, you're spoiled?
like when I think about like growing up.
Yeah,
like,
but how does that? I'm not telling you to apply that to God. I just know for me that does, right? So what do you, in those moments you're not talking to God? Okay, I'm sorry to ramble. I'm just trying to.
No, it's good. I like it.
So let's say that, like you say, okay, I struggle to pray, and it's because I don't believe, right? We'll get to that in a minute. I don't believe He's going to answer, which that's something.
Right.
And you said, well, I don't really think about saying thank you. Why? Is it because you're like, honestly, man, I never say, I don't know, you were spoiled, so you kind of expect good things? I don't know.
I would say that.
Or you're never taught. I don't know. Or was prayer never explained to you that way? I don't know.
I would say that I am more like it's interesting because I know I've always been a guy who's been like like thank you for this or thank you for that, like even like with like people, like I try to be thankful, so it's like I would say
you are really good at saying thank you to people.
yeah, so and so it's like
Anyway, that's something to come back
that's
to.
something
My point is,
yeah.
I guess when you think about prayer, let me change the question. What is prayer to you? Like in your own, like not what you're supposed to say, but when you think about it practically, and someone says, "Hey, man, you need to pray," what are they telling you to do?
Asking for help.
Okay.
Like that's what comes to my mind is like asking for help,
which is true, right? I mean, we do that, and we're supposed to.
So,
but you don't ask for help. Okay, so we'll go back to the original because you don't think he's actually going to help you.
Yeah, or like,
moments.
and maybe this is the spoiled thing. Maybe this is okay. So I think the spoiled thing comes in this part is like he either isn't gonna answer, or he isn't gonna like answer it the easiest way possible. Like it's not gonna be like an easy way that would make it most comfortable for me, because that's what I've known.
So, like, you think if you ask him, he's going to tell you to do something you don't want to do.
Exactly.
That's honest.
Because
even if it involves something to help you.
Exactly. Because
that makes sense.
Most of my life, it's just been like that. Like, here's a situation, and here's just the easiest way to get out of it. Like, whether that was like outside help or you know what I'm saying, like.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I've explained before in the past, like quote like safety net. There's always been that safety net. So then I think I am subconsciously always thinking there's a safety net. There's going to be a safety net. Well, that's there's going to be an easy way out of this, and so it's like, yeah. So if I'm thinking,
is it actually that you don't think you'll need him because it's just there's going to be something else that gets you out of it, or?
I think I expect God to give me the easy way.
So what? But there's some part of you that knows he won't always because.
Yeah.
So even though you expect that, there's part of you that's like you just said, you read, hey, this is hard. It's not going to be that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like counting the costs again, because I think originally I was in a place where I could hear it, but I think over the years, like you still like that. There's that part of me that has like that kind of that spoiled kid.
Yeah, but it's interesting, man. Like you say, maybe you struggle in that area. You also are pretty radical in a lot of other areas. So that's what's funny about and cool about how God interacts with us, because he's growing us in areas that we're weak, right?
Yeah.
But like you are bold and going to love on people. I've said that before. You are just so bold and loving on people, and it's so fruitful, man. I've seen it in the gym so much. You had a really cool talk with that guy last week.
Yeah.
That goes to church but isn't a Christian. Flat out told you.
Yeah.
And that all became because you got a bottle of water for the dude that he worked out with, who ended up leaving.
It's true.
And so I want to leave you on encouraging. Instead of viewing that as like, well, I'm garbage because I think that. Because sometimes I wonder when you have those epiphanies, if it makes you sad. Listen, man, he's so proud of you for all these other areas. But you're right. It doesn't mean he's going to let you not grow in these.
Yeah. It's not.
And he listen to me. Even though it's different, I want you to hear me. Like I struggle too at times. It's just a different reason. And mine's almost the opposite. Mine's like, well, clearly he's never going to give me something good.
We're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Because I don't know.
I think it makes sense with like your life.
Sure.
Yeah,
and that's hard to talk about for both of us because we love our families, but
yeah.
The reality is there's no perfect family out there.
100%, man.
And I'm so blessed by my family, and I know you'd say the same thing.
Me too.
But it's not trash in your family to say the effects that it has, and neither of us grew up in Christian homes.
No.
And so what kind of makes our families even more amazing that we had the lives we had that they didn't know.
It's
Jesus.
true.
But it also puts us in a situation sometimes where like it probably affects us even more than we know. There's positive sides to it for sure. I think for both
absolutely.
of us. We're both evangelical in heart. We both understand what like Jesus does to your life because like we can't deny the change.
No, can't deny.
But I think sometimes the part of the burden of it, man, and is that stuff, because I don't know. It's just my own thoughts on it to
Yeah.
encourage you, man. It's like God still sees all that good stuff too. And he's not even mad at you for the prayer thing. It's more of like he wants to help you. Now, I'm
Yep.
telling you that while I still struggle with it. So
I appreciate it, man. It's
I think it's
you're
cool
right,
you're
like,
that transparent.
I think that like, I don't know. That's one thing that was a nice neck pop.
Yeah, I'm hurting all the time.
I think I guess I just get mad at myself, though, because, like you said, like, I don't want it to just become a joke, though. Like, I don't want it to just be, like, me always, like, just talking about, hey, like, here's where I'm at, but then, like, it doesn't turn to action, because then it's, like, it's not really, to me, it doesn't feel like it's faith anymore,
That's good.
So, like, it doesn't, and I don't like that. I don't want to be just a guy who just complains about life, but it's like, but Jesus, because it's like.
Well, and I didn't even take what you're saying as complaining, if that encourages.
Yeah.
It's more of like, I guess I want them to know, them being all you awesome people listening and watching, that we're not meaning just to say the negative, but we want to, and maybe sometimes we don't focus on the solution either.
Yes, you're right.
Because we are on a time show. You know what I mean? That's part of it. Like, and people just, I don't know. So I think it's neat, man, and like hopefully that inspires someone else out there to think about their own life.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. How about you? That was my life, but how are you doing?
Yeah, and I hope I didn't discourage you.
No, absolutely not. I think it's just what it's revealing to me is that, like, I don't know. It's the same lesson over and over again, which makes sense because if I haven't overcome it, God's just gonna keep putting it in front of me. But like, I have to, like, there has to be an action that comes with seeing these things, and if there isn't, He's gonna keep telling me, dude, like, you have to do something here. So, yeah, man, it's definitely not discouraging. It's more of those. It's one of those things where it's like, it's probably, if anything, it's probably more frustration in myself. Like, it's like, darn it, kid, like, do something.
Yeah,
So-
but I don't think the Father's even frustrated with you, because I think he's lovingly wanting you to. It's kind of like baby taking those steps.
That's a good.
I'm not upset when Daisy doesn't. In fact, sometimes I don't want her to walk as fast as she is because she's walking way ahead of schedule. But I don't sit around and go, oh my goodness, she only took 3 steps. I'm always like, man, you can take 8, because I believe you can. Like, I don't feel disappointed in her, and I'm a sucky human. So you can only imagine how God feels about you.
That's so good, man. I don't. think
I'm not
that
even
way a lot.
frustrated at her. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
So.
that is so good. I don't look at it that way a lot of the time. I need to,
Yeah.
but thanks, man. It really does help because, like, it does. Because I know for me, it can easily turn into discouragement, but, like, it's not that. It is like all right, what do we do with this? So thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, how are you doing, my friend?
I made some notes here.
Nice.
You guys know most of this. So number 1, I'll start with least serious and work my way down.
All right.
So we have this baptism service that we do once a year. Big deal.
Awesome service.
Yeah,
This is
have
so
100, we've had 140, 150 people. People come and celebrate what we call, right? Always felt like it's an outward declaration of an inward change. I'm declaring what should have already been. The water doesn't save me, but it symbolizes what Jesus has done for me and what I did. The old me's dead. When I come in that water, when I come out, I'm a new creation. I'm declaring to the world I'm Jesus, right? It's a beautiful thing. Every year we have been blessed, man. We have had people, I've had people run down a hill to get baptized. These are guests. We had our photographer one year who we paid to do it. All of a sudden say, I want to do this, take his stuff off and dive in. We've had, just amazing miracles.
Yes.
Along with the people who have, we get to celebrate. With that being said, every single year we have a set date for this. It's almost always the 4th or 3rd. I think, what is it?
Third or fourth Sunday.
The 3rd Sunday.
Yeah.
Every year, man, except for like one. It is storming and raining. So
true.
last week we were supposed to have it on the 17th. We moved it because we saw the rain was supposed to be bad, which, by the way, it was. It did rain.
It did rain, you're right.
Because it had only had a 1% chance of rain for this coming Sunday.
Yep.
Now, I look at it Monday, 60%, the exact same forecast as the one we just missed. So now I'm put in this position where, we can push it again. Then people are upset because parents are coming for baby dedications. I get it because we're doing. But push it back to another, and we just keep because the truth is, like, we can push it back. It's our event.
Yes,
and
we can.
honestly, at the end of the day, even though we're inviting people, it's for our church, like
Yes,
our
it
church
is.
family.
Absolutely. Man.
So, like, here's the reason it's a big deal, guys. We have giant slip and slides. We get pools. Like, it's just a fun, full day.
Yes.
Well, if you bring it inside, which is the option, and yes, the point is to just celebrate those people. But part of celebrating those people is having like kind of a full day around it, like a party.
Yes.
So we bring it inside, which would be the alternative.
Yep.
Right. Because I'm not going to plan for it to be outside and then have to that day. Outside, bring it inside.
It all inside, right?
So we're torn between having it inside and like, the giant bounce house. We might be able to put it in the gym for the kid, but it's just not going to be the same, right? Or push it back.
Yep.
And that stinks. So I just looked today, and at first I was like, oh, there might be hope because it showed Saturday originally raining. Well, then it's gone. And it was like partly sunny Saturday. So I was like, oh, maybe it's pushing,
Yeah.
whatever they call that system's kind of pushing forward. Well,
Oh,
today
yeah.
I checked.
Storms.
Now it's raining again. It's supposed to be raining again on Saturday, and 50% chance on Sunday. So even if it doesn't rain, right, it's going to if it's 50%. Let's just be real. It's going to be gray and gross and wet.
True.
So that stinks that I have to make that decision.
Dude.
And again, it's not so much because you just don't want to disappoint people. But I'm trying to. So that's that. Frustrating. The other thing that's happening, the anxiety, man, it's back. And I hate admitting this because I was not an anxious. You guys know me. I don't really get stressed. I just all of a sudden get overwhelmed with almost physical responses to anxiety. So like my mind isn't going, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I mean, I have those moments, but it's typically not. All of a sudden, I just look at you and go, hey, I'm about to have a panic attack. My body is like, you're dying.
Yep.
And then my mind hyper focuses on these things that are real things that are happening in my body, right?
Yep.
So say, okay, I'll get to it. So for instance, I'm having tingling in my foot that I've had for about 6 weeks now.
It's been a while.
It all started after I foolishly tried to run out, like follow this thing online of barefoot running.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I forgot about this part. So I started tingling. Like, okay, I'll get to this. Stay with me, guys. So I'm tingling. And that's exactly what it is. Kind of like a spot in my leg will feel like, probably like, I don't know, 2 by 4 inches will feel like it was asleep, pins and needles kind of thing, right? Then, but also I would, if I move my foot a certain way, so if I invert my foot and straight, I will get shocking pain, but I don't know how to say it, kind of hot needles on the outside of my foot. That one only comes, but that's not even the part that concerns me the most, because I've had sciatica from my back. There's a spot on my Achilles, right, that start all this, that if I touch it, and you guys can't see, if I just lightly go across it, I feel the shock of nerve stuff on the outside of my foot. So essentially, I'm rubbing that nerve.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing we forgot. That was a little weird. I, thinking that maybe that was just a muscle knot, because if you have muscle knots, sometimes you can push them and there's nerve. Yeah. I scraped it, because if anyone knows, athletes would know this out there, there's something called I don't remember the fancy term, but it's called kind of scraping. So you're supposed to let professionals do it. You put lotion on and you scrape these kind of muscle adhesions, kind of muscle or whatever, lesions or whatever, muscle knots out, right? Mm-hmm. I scraped the tar out of this nerve. So, P.S., coming back to it, it makes sense if that nerve isn't terribly irritated, which nerves take a long time to heal.
Oh, yeah.
It just hit me that I forgot I did that.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the original point. So I got this tingling weird foot, comes and goes. When you're anxious, my mind's like, well, only options are I have MS, I have a tumor in my leg. Like, that's what my mind does. And I don't know people out there like, oh, I don't know why it does that. I'm not consciously thinking that.
Yep, it just happens.
I have stomach issues in general. Well, when I'm highly anxious, it gets worse, right, physically. That's what I mean. Like, my body almost rebels. And then my mind starts thinking worst case scenarios. I overthink. I can't get out of it. And I've been in this spiral, man. We talked about this last night for the longest time. Now, I'm in a very stressful time in my life. I can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
A lot of changes the last year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Tons.
You're right.
And that's taking out, not even taking into consideration, we are so blessed. Our church is growing like I can't even explain.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
So that stinks, man. And it has caused me to, I hate it because I end up doing that thing. I don't know if any of you out there have ever overthought or worried at times. Like, anxiety is weird. I'm worrying, but it's not really a choice because the anxiety is taking over. But it wastes a lot of your time. Because you can spend hours just sitting around going, what's wrong?
Yeah, because you feel paralyzed.
Yes, exactly. I can't sleep. So I don't know what's going on with that. And then I'm afraid, of this tingling and, it's just crazy stuff. So that leads me to the idea of spiritual attacks. If you're not a Christian, we know that the Bible tells us this reality that we're not dealing with just what we can see in this world, but that there's a spiritual realm, and we know that.
Oh, yeah.
And that we have an enemy.
Yes.
And the enemy has servants, for lack of a better word, and they can't harm us, in the sense of possess or in those kinds of things. But oppression, right? Making whispering lies and all those kinds of things. And I think that in our modern world, there's only two options. You either overemphasize that and become obsessed with it. We just heard a story about a pastor who became obsessed with casting demons out of people, like throwing people on the ground. That's not biblical, right? To be obsessed with everything is that.
Right.
But then there's the other side, which I think even we tend to do unintentionally, is to minimize that.
Yeah, you ignore it almost.
Yeah, and so I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm dealing with attacks. I don't know if I'm, I know that I'm not sleeping. Like, for instance, I'm not bragging. People think that I slept probably an hour, literally an hour today. And I know that that's a cycle. If you don't sleep long periods, it increases your anxiety level because your body is on high alert. It's barely functioning.
Man, it's trying. Yeah. What would most of the time be a normal function is becoming harder because it's having to work that much harder.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's one really rough area, and if there's people out there listening, believers, I would welcome your prayers in that. Pray that for, little things like the tingling, my foot would heal. Like, as I'm talking, I have ice on my Achilles tendon right now.
Mm-hmm.
As we're talking.
Yes.
That would fade. And I know there's root causes, like we talked about last night. We'll get to that in a second. I'm trying to fit all this in quick. So that's really where I'm at, which is really discouraging because I know I'm wasting a lot of time. It's distracting from my mission. I'm not as an effective leader, which God has called me to do. You know that. And it stinks because I see the effects of that. And sometimes, I don't know. And then my personality is very much a grind. I will beat this. Well, so then I start beating myself up that I'm not beating this.
Yeah.
You know me. Like, I'm literally the guy that'll pass out on the treadmill. And, that's another thing. So then I'm like trying to rest so I don't run, which running and stuff helps my anxiety. And it's just this weird cycle.
Yeah, man. It's a weird place to be in.
So, that being said, that's a lot of the negative stuff. Positive stuff. You and I had a talk last night. Probably shouldn't have because we could have used that time to sleep. But it was a good talk, and it's something interesting, man. And I don't know how real I want to get here. And I really want to thank you for taking the time to really see me and to genuinely not blow me off.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's because I'm a leader. I've thought of this. I think sometimes people that are leaders, people think that it's almost like a weakness when you have problems, and or they think that you don't struggle at all. So people either use it as ammo to disrespect you, or they just take it for granted. And this is any position, not just the church. And it kind of hit me, man. And I don't know how real I want to be with this. I'm trying to, as we speak, I'm pondering this, but I feel very alone a lot. And it was funny as we were talking. I told you this at the end. I was a high anxiety. And you talked to me, and by the end of it, just allowing me to share and having someone take the time to not rush, to not be distracted, to speak into things, to encourage, my anxiety level dropped probably 60%. Literally in that moment. And I'm about to tear up, man, because it made a real impact on me. Like, I'm literally about to tear up. That's freaking crazy. So one, I guess I say that to thank you. But two, I say it to people out there that, sometimes, take it serious, man, if someone's struggling. And, give them the time of day. Because you don't know how much that can help them. And I know for me, I process things verbally. But what I've learned over the years and kind of through our talk is, man, this is hard to admit, but maybe it'll help someone out there. I don't feel like people value what I have to say unless it's in the capacity as a leader.
Yeah.
Unless I'm
not just as a person.
They don't want to hear that, right? And that sounds so whiny because. So I feel alone a lot, and that's not necessarily even people. I think I've gotten in the habit of just doing that too, right? And living out of lies. Like, it doesn't matter. I said that, and you're like, hey, dude, it does matter. So. It's crazy how much just being able to process things. And when you think about it, isn't that, we literally send people, we go pay people to sit and listen to us. That's what counseling is. Now, they're trained and they can, I've went to counselors and they are trained to help you, cognitive behavioral therapy, ways that we can't.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, sometimes, man, especially your first couple sessions, you're just talking and you come out feeling better because you have to pay somebody to give you an hour to listen to you and your hurts and to share with you your lives, because that is the kind of culture that we live in today, that we don't want to give each other an hour, and I'm guilty too of doing that to people at times, and I try not to, you know that.
Yeah.
So you know, if you're out there and you're struggling, you know, maybe take a minute and ask yourself, have I really gotten to, do I feel like anyone is really hearing me? And if you're at our church, you know, I can tell you right now, I will hear you, you know, and I know people are like, I can't meet with you. First of all, you guys do it anyway. I don't know why they say that. They just grab me. They act like they can't meet with me. It just happens. They just, this guy, any of these people listen to you, because we do love you guys. And you're not alone. And, yeah, it's just, to me, I've pondered that a lot today, you know, and I still woke up from the hour anxious and panicky a little bit. And Tuesdays are a grind for me. You know that.
Yeah.
Not just because of the show. So it was pretty cool. So I've been thinking a lot about that. Because I wonder how much worse it would have been if I hadn't had that time last night where you like talked and I got to share. Because sometimes, man, just it's kind of like letting the pressure off of a pot, like taking the lid off of a boiling pot.
Yep.
You just let some of that out so it doesn't have to overflow.
Yep.
And I don't, I can't talk. I'm just very thankful for that. And I don't necessarily know what to do with that yet. But I know that meant a lot to me. Freaking. And I know that that means a lot to a lot of other people too. And we just don't do that enough to each other in this world. We really don't. Even people we're close to. And sometimes I think the people we're close to, we almost take for granted. Oh, we're close now. So like even you guys you say something like, yeah, man, and I'm like, I've heard you, so I just we move on. And we stop giving the time to each other that we need because we need each other. And sometimes we just need another perspective.
It's good. It's true too. Like, I don't know.
So
I love
even
it, man.
just for example, the lies that I hear, and I'm sure you guys, some of you do. I literally feel like I just rambled this whole time and I annoyed people. Like that's a lie in my head that came up. I realize now, unless I'm at that pulpit and it's funny because that's never about me. I never think it is. That's just God. So as soon as that's done, right, I'm right back to being Todd or LT, whatever, right?
Yeah.
LT was what I was called as a kid. So there's that. I had a good talk last night. Could go on and on, man. I'm trying because some weeks I don't have anything. I think I've been thinking a lot about life and how short it is. Which, am I having a midlife crisis? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm definitely having an existential crisis, which means I'm thinking about the meaning of life sometimes. And there's people out there I almost don't want to say this to because they just say, well, I envy people that can just live. They don't think about this stuff. Because you're more like me in this.
Oh, yeah, man. The passing time freaks me out.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. And life's just interesting, man. And then I start thinking about culture, and I start thinking about church, and I start thinking about how weird things are. And we've talked about it before. I hate, I guess I'll end with this, and this could be a topic, so I almost hesitate to bring it up, but I'm going to. Ask yourself, if you're Christians out there, and if you're non-Christians, I have a different question. If you're a Christian, how often do you find yourself playing by a set of rules that Christians are supposed to play by that if you actually set yourself out and think about it, makes zero sense? So for instance, I hear all the time somebody say to me, pastors never admit the stuff you admit, Todd. And I'm like, why? Right? Or, because I don't think I probably talk too much. This one of my, or, and I do it too. You meet a new, why is it that when I meet a guy, I'm still like this and I meet a pastor, for instance, I automatically feel like I'm being judged if I don't play along a certain way. So I can't say even the word crap. You know what I mean? It's silly stuff. We don't do that. Or, and I'm not saying I want to. I'm just saying it's this strange thing that these weird rules we live by. Or I've got to tell everyone that everything's great when it's not great. And I can only talk about something one time because I'm supposed to be over it. And we've talked about the big ones like confessing sin. We don't need to touch base on that, but just, I don't know, man. It's just so odd. Sometimes I look around and I don't know how to say it, and I wish we had people could interact with us, but maybe I could explain it more. But not everything, so much about our faith in a modern America, maybe just the Midwest, I guess, who knows, is so weird. Particularly when you compare it to the Bible. We're pretending to be something we're not because we think that's what Christ wants us to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
become the Pharisees.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not even negative. But I guess Pharisaical in the sense of like we're not being genuine. But when I think of Pharisees, I think there's an arrogance there, and there definitely is that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong with a lot. But I'm talking about like even the people that maybe aren't arrogant that feel like we feel, but they would never admit that because that would mean their faith's weak, so they can't talk about it.
Yeah, the more of what I guess I should
know
go
what I
into this more. The thing that comes to me is actually more of like when Jesus. Now Jesus, I don't know if it would directly apply to this, but I think a lot of Jesus's words can affect us all differently. When he calls the Pharisees whitewashed tombs, I think either there are people in not only America but in the church today that have become like that Pharisaical with that whitewashed tomb. But I also think it can happen a different way where it's not necessarily arrogance, but you become this whitewashed tomb where you are just, yeah, these are the rules we play by. This is, yeah, I'm perfect. And you have up those rules and you make it all look good, but underneath you have all these questions and all these things.
Yeah. And so in this case, that's part of it. I don't know. It's just, I can't even, I guess I should have made a list, but sometimes I'll sit around and even I will do stuff, right? Because even though I was a Christian, I went to a Christian college.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the world long enough, that world, right? And now I'm going, man, I don't know. It's not even meant as a criticism. It's just interesting stuff. Because when I look in the New Testament, pretty real stuff. Pretty real stuff. Even Paul, when I see the Apostle Paul share things, and Peter and Jesus, I don't know. And I wonder the pressure, the self-imposed pressure we put on ourselves as Christians because that's what we're supposed to do. So the pressure to be perfect, I hear that. The pressure to not make mistakes, the pressure to have it all together, the pressure to never doubt, the pressure to, and I just don't see that in the Bible. Because we should be living free, and freedom means like,
I'm freely expressing that.
Yeah, and knowing that God's got us, and like
Yeah.
He's showing us and teaching us. So it's just interesting.
so good,
Didn't mean to ramble, guys. I just
it's
I
good stuff,
wanted to take
man.
that serious about catching up on our life. So
Yeah,
anyway,
dude. Well, I love you, man.
yeah, appreciate
And,
it. Thanks a
you know,
lot, man, for your help.
Of course.
Sorry, everybody out there, if I ramble too long.
Nah.
All right, moving on. We got questions, a lot of them today. So, very quick segue. Are you ready?
Let's get
Number
it.
one, AJ. So, is the taco-themed real talk you mentioned 2 weeks ago going to happen? Well,
Yeah, I think we're gonna do it. Kind of discussed it earlier. Yeah, it's gonna happen, and keep your eyes out and open. You're gonna want
keep
to
your
watch.
eyes out of your head looking.
That's right. You're gonna want to probably all you podcasting folks. You might want to check us out in video form for that episode. So now, next question that we got here is from our previous episode, and it's in reference to you talking about computers, I believe. And it says, "Who put the books in the library?"
That's interesting because I ended up having a talk with Tim.
Yes.
Our robotic programming friend. I'm just kidding. But he's a
Robotic
programmer. And it was a good
friend.
conversation because it kind of made me feel good, man, because that research I did really helped a ton. Right?
Yeah.
I understand a little bit more, but at the end of the day, my point's still valid.
Oh, yeah.
So someone programs the books in the library. So a computer is not really a singular item. It is a hodgepodge of a bunch of different pieces that are put together, right? So that makes it a little easier to understand. Again, you need to go watch last week if you don't know the context of what we're saying, because I can't explain that all over again.
Yes.
So from what I'm gathering, who puts the books in the library? The person who programs, what is it, the CPU?
Yeah, the chip, essentially.
So they've put in there what, and my analogy actually kind of worked. Mm-hmm. So there's a finite amount of things in the library, right? Not an infinite.
Mm-hmm.
It can, there's a book about pictures, and there's a book about math, and there's a book about all this stuff. And then what programmers do, what I'm gathering, right, and there's different, is they tell the computer which books to pull out so that it does these certain programs, for lack of a better word. So that's what I've gathered. However, we're still left with a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah, man.
And we'll probably come back to this because I refuse to let go of this bone until we have figured out the mystery of magic and computers.
True, man, because like even if the question's been answered about, the guy who makes that actual chip is the one who put the books inside the library, but how did he even manage to come up with these books? How did he do that? How did he discover that? No idea.
There's still fascinating things, man, because it's really just manipulating electricity to make
Yes.
these things happen too. That's another thing. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Wizard.
Wizard.
I got Tim to admit that by the definition of the word,
Mm-hmm. He's a wizard.
kind of a wizard.
Oh, wizard, Timmy.
So I'm looking forward to him. He still hasn't listened to this episode, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna kind of insult him again because I know his lovely wife has watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she had a good laugh at us. She
absolutely.
called it mocking him, but I'm waiting for him to mock us.
Oh, yeah.
Now I am mocking him. He's always usually up to date on the show.
It's true,
and
man.
he is behind now. So
The
hey, we're
one.
waiting for your comment, Tim. We want you to come on here, give us your thoughts. You know,
It'll be one that we respond to.
but it was a great conversation. It's nice
Oh,
to
yeah,
be able to
man.
just talk with him because, you know, he is a programmer. That's what he does. But he even says there's a level he doesn't even understand, which is wild.
It is insane.
That comes down to kind of the electrical engineering side.
The
Of it.
creepy part is how it just seems like it's so. Like, it seems like it's never ending. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's terrifying.
Start getting into quantum computers, man. Okay,
Magic.
it literally is scary what a quantum computer can do.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't understand.
yeah, we'll get back to that someday.
That's
All right, here we
a
go.
whole can of worms.
Yeah, no joke. We talked about that like 2 years ago too about Mandela effects. We should come back
Yes.
to that.
It's
Number 2, AJ.
yes.
What happened to the fundraiser? I was looking forward to AJ's crazy hair.
Listen, it's not gone, and if anything, it's gotten
said
more
it.
real than ever.
Yeah, I looked at the rankings here, and
Yes.
they're pretty crazy.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. You guys are going to. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to show my face in public with somebody, especially if you get the biggest prize.
By the way, here's
Terrifying.
Here's one thing for you, AJ. You have to remember that you still you make it like you go out all the time. You go out to all these places. You still don't do that. So I think you'll be okay.
I'm on a live stream every Sunday
Not that. That's fair.
and on the podcast every week.
Well, podcast. The live stream for church, it'll be a new adventure every week. I want to see the comments.
Yeah. But so yes, it's alive and well. We kind of decided to go in a different direction. So keep an eye out. Like Fun Turn said a little bit ago earlier, we are going to have like a GoFundMe for it with different tier values. That when you guys reach that tier value of when you donate, things are going to start happening, and it's going to be insane. So keep on the lookout.
You're gonna pull so much engagement during this time because people are gonna come and see like the beginning of the stream and see you. They're like, "What in the world is going? Is this a church?"
That's true.
Is that
That's
Hulk
true.
Hogan?
Man, I hope the normal cut wins. Because honestly, man, I don't want you.
Oh, at this point, there's no normal cut anymore.
What?
There's no normal cut.
Well, I'm not going to vote for anything then.
I mean, it's literally like you just donate this amount, and this
Well,
is
I'm
what
hoping
happens.
for, honestly, for you, I'm hoping for the lower one.
Because it's essentially like a
I
goal
get it.
set for a specific amount of time, and that's just what they get along the way.
Oh, so you can do all of it. Like it's a progression.
It's working its way up
It's
to
a
that.
progression.
Yeah, and that happens. So, for
AJ's
example,
gonna-
we hit that value. I do that.
Well, here's the update. They want to know when this is starting.
Good question. So, let's see. We got to still get the GoFundMe figured out and get that set up. So
never.
I don't have a.
So
set
but you
date.
can make a set date. We are the ones doing it.
Yes.
You can
You
literally
are-
pick
yeah.
a date.
I get nervous setting dates.
You mean because you don't do them?
Yes. He's 100% right. It's because I don't follow up a lot of the time. Let's see. I think we actually did have it. Whoa, I don't remember the date right now, but I'm going to give a soft date of the 25th, which would be Monday. This upcoming Monday. Which I think that might be the day that was actually discussed. I think. So 25th, be on the lookout. We'll have a link out for you.
Todd's gonna put up another GoFundMe
fast,
that's gonna
man.
be like "Save AJ."
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Oh boy.
Oh, you guys are gonna see it. You're gonna be like, "Oh my!"
Oh, it's insane.
It's gonna be interesting.
Oh,
You're
yes.
up, my friend.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
It says, "This is to all three of you. Thank you for doing this." Sorry, misread. Let me try that again. This is to all three of you. Thank you for doing this. You all three have helped me in some way or another process things and helped me in my walk. Love you all.
Well, hey, I love you too and appreciate you. And honestly, I know we joke a lot, but that's really what the heart of this show is about: is to make you know it's okay to have questions and to process, and that Jesus loves you and That faith is a journey. So, thank you for encouraging us. That gives us, because sometimes, man,
It's true.
a journey. So we love you too. Thank you so much.
Love you so much.
All right, AJ,
Yes.
what's the craziest article you've read lately?
So actually, I kind of have a note for this. I don't have one in particular. But I will say the latest article that I've read, I actually sent it to you, was about how, like, if Jesus, essentially the idea of it was like, what does it actually mean to live abundantly? If Jesus told us that, like, what does it actually look like? It was an interesting article, and the way they kind of shaped it, like I agreed with a lot of it, but also there's a couple parts I was like, I don't know. So it was just that's been the latest article, but in general, I love Telegram. I'm all over Telegram looking at stuff. So if you were unfamiliar with Telegram, it's just kind of like it's like a news outlet sort of thing where it's got like different channels of news. So I enjoy it, and it brings a lot of. It definitely brings up a lot of things in the world that you wouldn't normally see. I'll say that. So I love Telegram. That's where I see a lot of stuff. So yes.
Fun turn. What's your article?
What is the strangest article I've seen recently because of all my stuff? I've seen a lot of insanity lately. Like the
I could just look at my history because I read.
That's true,
yeah.
man. You're all over it.
So I see a lot of insanity. One, I think the craziest one was about like the riots that have happened. Oh yeah, no, this one was pretty crazy. I guess this one I saw a while ago. When I did some article research was when they after this whole like abortion thing has happened, they firebombed a place that was helping women after this that wasn't doing the abortion, but it was a Christian clinic that was helping women after they have the birth of the child, whether that's if they want to put them up for adoption, whatever that may be, helping them through that process and all of that. They basically they firebombed it, they graffitied it, they attacked it all the time. And I remember looking at that, and I was on one of our news sites that we go to. I think it was Christian Post, and I was like, "What in the world?"
Yeah.
And then
That's
I
wild.
also sometimes go down the rabbit hole of all sorts of things, like all sorts of things. Telegram is an interesting place.
Yep.
I watch a lot of things, not only about boxing, but also crazy government things to crazy just history. So I'm all over the place. I was
Nice,
rabbit holing before this show.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying something about that.
Yeah, but I think if I say what I was rabbit holing about, we'll get shadow. So
Yeah. Oh well.
We've never come back.
TB.
I was looking. Did a lot of research on existential crisis.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely what I'm having.
I was looking at mine too. I was like, oh, I'm curious now.
But looking at what?
Oh, just like my history to see like what I was looking into.
Yeah. Man, the craziest one I really. I'll tell you this, and that kind of goes to the AJ because I can't think of one off the top of my head. 'Cause, I mean, I'm constantly reading about stuff, man. I
Yeah.
just the other day was reading about the former prime minister or president of Russia, of the USSR, Gorbachev. So
yeah, you're like you just look into people's lives. Like you're a deep diver into
history,
people's
man.
history.
I'm into. I like to learn. I will say this: there is a lot of things that people accept. Like, for instance, you brought up Telegram. And I love that people, I had an old family member, close family member, getting a huge argument with me about some stuff. You were there. And it's funny how people think if you say anything that is factual even, that is not a mainstream media narrative, you are a crazy conspiracy theorist.
True, man.
So there's a lot of things about the pandemic that we were in 2020. A lot of things about medications that are being suggested for people, and the fact that they do have, if you choose to take certain medications, that's your choice, and you should have that choice. And I'm not telling anyone not to. And this is any kind of medication, but you should also know the side effects.
Yeah,
particularly if they're very serious. And kind of learning that, man, and learning a lot of things about the world. And these are not conspiracy; these are facts. Agenda 2030. You can Google this stuff yourself. Well, I don't know if you want to Google it, DuckDuckGo it, but just there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't hear about because the world's focused on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, for instance. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that her name, Amber?
Yep.
Or-
Yeah.
those are example, right? Stuff was going on. You need to understand. I could drop bomb after bomb right now. It's not that big bomb of like things that is happening
and no one knows about
that
it.
people don't know about because. It's not carried. It's not conspiracy. It's a fact. And we get attacked every time I suggest that there may be things. This is crazy. Let me explain this to you. If you're a person out there who is angry and telling me I'm a nutball when science, since you like to claim science in anything, when there is factual things, you have got to start questioning the narrative that let's say news networks don't have an agenda. They are businesses. They are businesses.
Yes.
You understand that? Meaning they make money. That is their goal.
Dude.
They're not. The people think that, like, I used to think this too. They think news programs are like nonprofits that are only supposed to tell you the truth. Right? And I'm not.
That's not
I
how
can
it is.
tell you, I don't know. It's just interesting. So there's a lot of articles out there. Stuff's going on in the world. Man, just some crazy stuff, man.
I mean, you talk about history, dude. Like, I just don't understand how people can't even be open to the idea of like how something that is being put in front of you is not what it seems. Look at history, and people don't think it can happen here, and it's just I don't understand it. The best example that comes to my mind is like Nazi Germany with Hitler. Like, do you think he was just straight out telling people, "Hey, this is what I'm doing"? No, no. So it's like that can easily happen anywhere, and it's like if you're not open-minded enough to look past what's being given to you and at least question, like, hey, like, is this for real? Like, it's very easy to fall into. So,
Yeah, and you know what? I'll just drop some Socrates on people because you know what?
Socrates.
I've been on a quote craze that nobody knows about.
I'm gonna have Socrates' head popping.
So Socrates, one of the quotes that I've at least quoted this quote at least 7 times since I've got it, or even more. It's been hilarious. It's come up at Lionheart meetings. It's come up at everything, and people go like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, I love quotes." Smart people learn from everything, and everyone. Average people from their experiences. Stupid people already have all the answers, and I think we've quickly gotten to that last.
We have
I'm
all
not
the answers.
calling everybody stupid, but I think if you're not willing to open your mind and learn and be open to all those things, you're not learning anymore. You will quickly become stupid. Another one is the reason why we can never get anywhere with any of these discussions is because we no longer have discussions because everybody's so closed-minded. So here's another Socrates quote: "When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser," because nobody can.
Bro, that's good.
Nobody can admit that they've lost the argument or that you may have a point because what would that mean for their pride?
Yeah.
You go into the conversation as it is a battle where even like that quote is suggesting that at the end of the day, the debate should not go to that level. You should be willing to learn from it.
Definitely.
And I think even when I was in high school, once I graduated, that started to happen more and more. And the only way to actually get your point across was either argue with the person until you argue with them in so many circles that eventually they start to argue for real and like they actually want to talk, or it wasn't good and we would just argue to argue, and it wasn't an actual debate. It wasn't an actual talk. It was just arguing in anger and rage. And when I was in high school, that was very discouraging because I was a guy that loved our mock congresses, that loved our Socratic seminars and our things like that. And frankly, what we've seen in society now is just we're not allowed to be
worse.
open.
100%, it's gotten worse.
The second you say something is you're now labeled.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right. You're up, my friend.
Question.
You're right, by the way, Clint. All that. I mean,
Oh yeah, it was great. Why does the Old Testament always talk about David's genealogy?
because the Messiah was prophesied to come through David's line.
Boom.
So it's important, and that's why in the New Testament they trace Jesus' lineage to David.
Back to David. It's awesome, man.
What's your favorite weapon that you would use for the zombie apocalypse?
Easy answer for me, and I've got this note. It says, "Wise words of Todd, quote, swords don't run out of bullets." I'm taking a sword.
Yeah, you don't run out of sword. Yeah, that's true. Fun turn?
probably gonna also take some sword or blunt object that's not going to get caught, because that's a common
object.
misconception.
Yeah.
For a long time, I watched a interesting YouTube channel called I think it was Zombie Tools or something like that. No,
Nice.
not Zombie Tools. That's an actual that's a fantastic company. I'll give them that fantastic company. Anyways, but it tested out weapons that people either said were for the zombie apocalypse or weren't, and like that was the main thing that they talked about. They're like, if it gets caught, you're dead. Essentially, you have to leave that behind. So they reviewed that a lot and like things like that. So definitely something that doesn't get caught.
Yeah, I'm gonna. If we're dealing with humans, I'm going sword. But since you said zombies, I'm gonna shock you here. Another medieval weapon, a mace.
Nice.
Okay, a mace is essentially kind of like for people that aren't into medieval weaponry. Maybe we can get a picture on here, but it's essentially picture a stick or a club, right, with a huge, or not, a bludgeon, a big old round head on it. That sometimes has spikes, yeah, like that, or flanges, which are just little, and it's perfect, man. It's not going to get
put
stuck.
a picture up.
It's going to mash heads because typically you kill zombies by crushing the head. I think I'd go mace if I could get one.
It's good, man. I like that.
So that's a weird one, isn't it? All right, moving on. I think you're up, my friend.
Does the verse about it is better to be married than be burning with lust also apply to women, even though men should be the pursuers?
Yes. So the verse he's talking about, I'm going to read, is 1 Corinthians 7. I'm just going to start at verse 1. He's talking about principles of marriage here. Paul is writing to the church in Corinth. He says, now in response to the matters you wrote about, it is good for a man not to have relations with a woman, but because sexual morality is so common, each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. P.S. I can't go into that. I want to teach on this, and I can't. I got it. Let me skip down. Do not deprive one another sexually, meaning husband and wives, except when you come together. I say this in succession. And then he goes, I say in verse 8, I say to the unmarried and to widows, it is good for them to remain as they are, but if they do not have self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with desire. So it's interesting that he says, unmarried and widows. So apparently there are people out there that means like burn in hell. That's not what it means. It means if you are in a relationship, let's say, and you literally are giving into sexual morality over and over and over, it's better to get married than to be overcome with lust all the time and to give into lust. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty apt in our world. Because let me put it this way, people would say, well, what in the world are you telling people? Well, if they're close enough to have sex with, who are you to tell them that they're not close enough to be married to? As a Christian, you can't have it that way. If you're sitting around messing around and not being a hypocrite here, I have my own past. If you're sitting around messing around with a girl or a guy, but you're like, oh, I'm not ready for being married. Well, you're not ready for that either.
It's good.
And the Bible's pretty clear on that. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
So he's commanding the unmarried and widows. Interesting that widows, right? Because they're also unmarried and probably might even be a little tougher for them at times, depending, because they've been there, for lack of a better word. So that's what that verse means. It's very tangible advice, right? Okay. What does it mean to crucify our flesh?
So I've got a couple ways to go about this. The first thing I thought up was it means to lay down our way of living. The things we want and the desires we seek, we need to seek God's way. And a lot of the way, when it talks about the flesh, to not act out of that sinful side that we have. Those sinful desires we have that we know is not, even if it's things that are good in God's eyes, but if it's out of the context of God, then it's sinful. Not give, so to crucify that is to not act out of those things. That's what I had.
Yeah. He used the word crucify because it was the most painful death probably that the early, that area would know in the Roman Empire and stuff. So it means to kill the part of you that rebels against God. And it's symbolism, right? It's going to hurt. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to do whatever it takes to not give in to that part of you that wants to rebel and do whatever you want over what God wants.
And that also, to me, opens my eyes every time to what it means to be a Christian, man.
You're absolutely. It's a great point, man. It's good that you say that because a lot of people blow off those terms when they're very. God chose them for a reason.
Yes.
I think you're up.
My bad.
Yeah, you're good. You good, man?
How do you become a warrior in a civilized world that looks down on warriors? They have a disdain for fighters and contempt for strength. How do we teach our sons to be strong and warriors?
Great question. So I think particularly for men, the civilized world, and I'm going to take, he means this symbolically, right? Meaning we stand up for what we believe, we fight for truth and good, and stand against culture even. It doesn't necessarily, but, does it mean fight for your loved ones if you had to? Yeah, I think it does too. Yeah, they don't want that, particularly men. Men that live out of the heart God's given them, that are fierce in a good way, though they're not easily controllable.
It's good.
That doesn't fit the modern world.
Not at all.
So what's better? Let's go ahead and make men, and I think this is even more prevalent in the church. Let's highlight the idea that a man is supposed to be, I'm using this word in quotations, gentle. And by gentle, I don't mean gentle by choice, but essentially what they mean is weak, afraid, fearful, gentle because he's afraid, not because that's not really gentle, right? That's just being afraid.
Yes.
Gentle is when a strong man chooses to not use his strength because of the person that he's dealing with, whether it's a child or a woman or someone who's weak or a victim. It's a beautiful thing. It's
really
to
good
choose not, when you do something out of fear, there's no good in that, right? I mean,
no, not at all.
It's not the same thing. So, how do you do it? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy. I've tried to live my life doing this too. I think you have to make decisions, tangible decisions to stand up, for lack of a better word, in the moments when your flesh tells you to not. So when you see something wrong happening, whether that's at work, church, personal life, and I mean that, right? Wrong in your spirit, in the Holy Spirit, and wrong. Are you going to do what 90%, it seems like, I'm just throwing this number out there, 90% of culture does and just walk by? Are you willing to be the one that stands up and says, no, that's wrong?
That's good, man.
Are you willing to enter into scary situations? So I think being a warrior is a mindset, but the mindset is partially developed by the actions you take. So you've got to continue. You've got to take the actions, and the more you do, the more you understand your strength, the more confidence you build, and the more it becomes easier to stand up in those moments, right? That's hard because you are going to get pressure, both from the world and certainly from even church culture.
Yeah.
Where they try to say Jesus was this, weakling when he wasn't. What's beautiful about Jesus is he was very much a warrior, very firm, and it depended on his audience. When he was dealing with evil or arrogance or those who hurt people, he was bold and a lion. And when he was dealing with the untouchable, the people who society cast out, the ones who thought they were too far gone, he was gentle and loving. With children, he was gentle and loving. Women, gentle and loving. But when he dealt with arrogance and he dealt with evil, he spoke up to the point when it cost him the ultimate price, right? And even people say, well, he didn't fight back. Yeah, but you got to understand, there's a difference between knowing, because he said, do you think I could call down a bunch of angels and essentially incinerate everything? That comes from a place of strength. He knew he could do it, and he didn't out of love. That's different than I can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
100%, dude.
How do we teach our sons? Show them. Let your sons see you step up. Talk about things. I think a lot of times when it comes to kids, they think sons aren't interested in it because how kids are, but they do pick up things.
Yeah, man.
Have those discussions. When they talk about school, ask them how they responded. Ask them how they would respond in certain situations. Use movies and go, hey, what do you like about that? Marvel movies are good. What moments do you like? Captain America's got the hammer and he hits Thanos with it. What's cool about that moment? What's cool about that? The moment at the end of the day, when all hope's lost, the guy who's probably least powerful among them, almost, he's standing up because that's who he is and he's fighting. Enter into those moments, man, and talk about the real Jesus. Speak into them, encourage their strength, don't tear them down. They get that a lot at school.
Yeah.
Hey, quit being a boy. So when you see them do noble, good things, speak into it. Men are not good with that, even with boys. We don't use our words a lot.
It's true.
Speak into it. That's my advice. And, that's just some tangible things I think you could do. Great question.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Well, I think that's about it, man. We went long
man.
again. We keep having these articles. We're going to do it. Maybe we'll do this at Real Talk Live. Talk
That's
about
true,
the
man.
articles.
We could always talk, yeah. Good idea.
But yeah, I got nothing else, man. I think it's a good time to end it. What do you think? Got anything to say?
Yeah, love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 173. Man, we're slowly approaching 200, which is
Crazy.
Literally blowing my mind.
27 episodes, right? Yeah.
Crazy. So thank you guys so much. You're the reason why we're still going. I mean, you guys tune in every week, keep asking questions. you're teaching me. I take so much from this show. I take it for granted, but it's true. Like, share this podcast, this video, however you're watching, and that's really all I got for you. Thank you guys so much. I love you so much.
Fun turn. You got anything? He says no. Hey, we love you guys. Appreciate you. God loves you. Loves you so much he would die for you. He sent his only son. And he is not, looking to cast you out or condemn you. The Bible tells us that everything he does is to save us and to give us an opportunity. And even when he tells us the wrong we're doing, it's not to condemn us, right? The desire is to show us our situation, how hopeless we are, and that our only hope is in him and turning to him through Jesus Christ and what he did for us. So, hey, it's always available for you. Today's the day that you can know without a shadow of a doubt that you would be in paradise with God, that you will live forever. But in order to do that, you got to let go of yourself. You got to crucify your flesh. You got to be one to say to God, I'm sorry. I know what I've done is wrong. I reject my way, and I turn to you. And Jesus, I accept what you give me. And if you do that, the Bible's very clear. You will be saved. So if you're a person out there, you don't know what that means or how to do it, if you can do it right now. Right now as you watch this video, get on your knees and talk to God, and you can know that. But if you don't know how, you can shoot us a message anytime at www.theremnant.live/real-talk or drop a comment and below. We'll get a hold of you somehow.
Boom.
That's it. Hey, pray for us, protection, guidance, all that beautiful things. Hope you guys have a great day. Kelsey, thanks again for the shirts. We love you. We appreciate you. And God bless.